What if the peace you're searching for in your family begins the moment you stop trying to fix them? Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my 146th solo episode. This is Esther speaking to you from Switzerland with an open heart today. And I want to be honest right from the first breath of this episode. I'm sad. It has been 1 year since my mom passed away. 1 year. And even saying this out loud still feels surreal because part of me knows she is at peace. And another part of me still wants to talk to her or ask her something. My mom left this world in a very quiet way. She stayed in bed, which, strangely enough, was something she had always wished for but never allowed herself to do while she was alive. And in the end, she finally did. There is peace in knowing she chose her moment, and yet grief has its own rhythm. It comes like waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes overwhelming. And grief doesn't only take the person who leaves, it also reshapes the relationships that remain. Because now there is still my father. And this past year with him has been one of the most emotionally challenging seasons of my life. I had imagined something different. I thought we would sit together, talk about memories, laugh about the past, share gratitude for everything we experienced as a family. I thought his wife's passing would open his heart, but instead, it often closed it. He accused me many times of not being kind enough, of not loving enough, of not showing up the way he wished I would. And I know part of this comes from his inability to grieve. Part of it comes from his old wounds, from a lifetime of not feeling loved, from emotional places inside him that never grew up. Sometimes it feels like speaking to an 8-year-old boy who takes everything personally, who feels rejected even when he's loved. And I'll be honest with you, there were moments I felt fed up with his story. Not because I don't love him, but because love also gets tired when it keeps knocking on a closed door. Just yesterday, when I called him, he sounded huffily, distant, cold. And I thought to myself, how many times have I told you that I love you, and you still can't receive it? And this is where one of the deepest lessons of my life landed again with full force. We cannot control other people's moods. We cannot heal people who don't want to heal. We cannot change people who don't choose change. We can only be present. And sometimes even presence is not received. And life gave me the chance to practice this lesson again through my younger son, who is currently in military service, but he comes home on weekends. And this past weekend, I felt he was in a low state, heavy energy, short answers, rough tone. I asked him gently what was going on. He said, "Nothing, everything is fine." And I knew he wasn't even aware of his own state. The old me would have reacted differently. I would have argued. I would have pointed out his tone. I would have tried to make him see what I was feeling. But this time, something inside me stayed grounded. Every time he responded unkindly, I went back to my happy place, to my inner peace, and I told myself, it's not about me, it's his business. I don't have to change him. Let him be. And this is freedom. The freedom of not taking everything personally. The freedom of not making someone else's mood your emotional responsibility. And this is one of the most important things I have learned in the past years. I don't have to repeat the same story with my sons that I lived with my parents, because when I was younger, my parents often accused me of not being kind enough, of being ungrateful, of not loving them the way they deserved. They didn't understand boundaries. They didn't understand that puberty, adulthood is the phase where you find yourself, not where you keep pleasing your parents. And today, I see they carried their own wounds from their parents, generational patterns passed down unconsciously. But here is my decision. I am determined to break this pattern. And one teaching helped me profoundly in this journey. A teaching from my mentor, Tony Robbins. Trade your expectations for appreciation. Let this sink in for a moment, because expectations are silent contracts we place on others without their consent. We feel entitled as parents, as partners, as children. We expect certain behaviors, certain words, certain emotional responses. And when they don't come, we feel hurt, rejected, angry. So the first step is awareness. Acknowledge. This feeling I have right now comes from an expectation. And your feeling is valid. It is real. It moves something inside you. You are allowed to feel it fully. But then comes the next step. And this step changes everything. Realize that expectations are a dead end in relationships. They close hearts instead of opening them. So you consciously shift your focus. You start searching for what you can appreciate in this person. You flip the lens. You step away from your ego, away from hurt, and you put on a new pair of glasses where you see this person as a human being, a soul, a life. You have the privilege to love, because love is a privilege, not an entitlement. A privilege that this person walks life beside you, even if imperfectly. And when you shift from expectation to appreciation, you enter a completely different emotional universe. You experience the same person in a totally different way. Do you feel the difference? Coming back to my father and my younger son. I love my father deeply. I'm proud of everything he did for our family. I appreciate him, but appreciation does not mean acceptance of unkind treatment. I have the right to set boundaries, to protect my emotional state, to protect my inner peace. And I admit, setting boundaries has not been easy for me. I often had a bad conscience. I felt guilty, but I'm learning, growing step by step. And this awareness is the only way I can prevent repeating this story with my sons. Because whenever I feel anger rising, because one of them didn't meet my expectations, I remind myself, I don't want to become my parents in this moment. Not because they were bad, but because they were unconscious in their patterns. And I choose consciousness. I choose healing over repeating. And before I close today, I want to leave you with one last truth that feels very alive in my heart. It's never too late to start from scratch. Never. If you reacted from old wounds, if you fell back into old patterns, forgive yourself. You're human. You're learning. You are allowed to make mistakes. Growth is not perfection. It is awareness in motion. And the next time a similar moment appears, pause, breathe, release expectation, and ask yourself, how can I appreciate this person right now? Even one small appreciation can reopen a closed heart, including your own. Thank you for being here with me today in this very honest space. If this episode touched you and you feel ready to shift patterns in your own life, I offer free coaching sessions where we gently work through emotional blocks and create new perspectives together. You're always welcome to reach out. And as always, my weekly podcast episodes are uploaded every Thursday. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next heart-to-heart moment we share. Sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Until next week.